Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my bedroom in the great state of Kansas, and we're doing another director ranking, ranking all the movies of a specific director. This time, I'm ranking all the movies of James Cameron, which, according to IMDb, basically there are 10 movies that he has directed. Though you can question one of them, and I'll get to that in my ranking here. That he didn't really direct all of it, direct a little bit of it, but it's on IMDb, so it's in my list anyways. And 10's a good round number anyway. So 10 movies. It's crazy that it's only 10 movies. As his first movie started in the 80s. I mean, 40 some years ago he started his first movie. So only 10 movies in probably 40 some year span of movies that he's done. Um, Interesting, yeah, the way his career has gone. Starting in the 80s, I mean, he starts off pretty big and becomes a big director pretty quickly and directs some of the biggest kind of sci-fi movies of the 80s period and into the 90s. And becomes a director that knows how to direct big blockbuster movies that make a lot of money. Um, yeah, is really one of the, just looking at 10 movies, he's made some of the biggest blockbusters of all time. I mean, when you talk about Titanic being the greatest at the time when it came out, the biggest box office movie of all time, it was for a long time, and then got beat by Avatar when that came out in 2009. So 97, 2009, 12 years later, he beats his own box office record with that movie. And then all the Avatar movies have made a ton of money. And that's not even counting, stuff like Terminator 2 and probably even Aliens made a lot of money, I'm sure. So, I mean, his on bat percentage is crazy good, like the best out of any director, I think. The fact that he made 10 movies and most of them have been just incredible sellers. I mean, has been incredible in the box office. I mean, anytime he makes a movie, it feels like it's a big box office movie. So he might go down as one of the big box office movie directors of all time. A guy who makes mostly very fun, again, mostly sci-fi, not all sci-fi, but really good at making good sci-fi fun movies, a lot of times with action scenes and all of that. Anyways, but you look at his 80s output, like I said, with the Terminator and Aliens, and then you go in the 90s with, Terminator 2 and True Lies, and then Titanic, like I said. And Titanic really, it was like he was doing very good and he was a top director. And then he does Titanic in 97. And it's one of the biggest movies of all time, not only box office wise, but also winning 11 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director. So he has his Oscar for Best Director for that movie. So then all of a sudden he became, not only he's make big blockbuster movies, he also wins Oscars. So, I mean, that really solidified him as like one of the great directors. I mean, really, when I look at the movies, I mean, he is one of the great directors, even though his output isn't real big. But yeah, then the weird thing is he kind of took this big, after Titanic, it felt like, I'm pretty sure it's after Titanic, he took this big rest. After his biggest movie, all these Oscars, he took a lot of time off. He did a lot of documentaries dealing with Titanic. I feel like Titanic was like his big thing, and he just started doing underwater documentaries about underwater, under the ocean kind of stuff and Titanic stuff. And he kind of just did that for a long time. And then it's like, what happened to James Cameron? He kind of disappeared after he hit his, peak as a director, it felt like. And then he comes back with this weird new sci-fi epic movie with this new, special effects technology that he's been, I guess, working on for a long time. On the story, I guess he's been working on for a long time as well, and finally got together. And so, like I said, 12 years after Titanic, he finally put this movie together, Avatar. This, mixture of Dances with Wolves and Pocahontas or whatever, all this stuff put together, and it's a 3 hour, movie, dealing with a lot of CGI and all that. And again, it's big box office. It gets nominated for a bunch of Oscars. Ends up not winning the big one, but wins all the kind of technical awards. And then after he made that, he then took another big long haul of nothing. And he said he's working on like making four more, I think, Avatar movies, or like four more, like maybe a trilogy, but like he's gonna make like, and that's all he's gonna do is make Avatar movies from now on, which is like, really, that's all? Like, you're not gonna try to make something? It was really a weird choice to just be like, yeah, I'm not gonna really make a lot of movies. I'm just gonna work on Avatar movies. But I mean, give it to him. It's Avatar: Way of Water, nominated for Best Picture. It was a big box office movie of the year. And then even Avatar: Fire and Ash wasn't as big, but still made good money. So the guy's winning at everything he's doing so far. And I guess that's all we're going to get from now on is Avatar movies from him. So yeah, very interesting, I think, film trajectory for James Cameron. But if I'm looking at the movies, I would say, 5 out of 10, I think, are pretty good movies, pretty decent to great movies. And I mean, definitely top 2 are really great movies. But so in the 5, it's pretty good. I'd say 6 through 10, I didn't like as much. So, I mean, he's batting 50%, which still not the worst. I mean, any director is going to have bad movies. So, but anyways, I know I'm talking a lot about my intro here too. James Cameron, but just I want to talk a little bit about him. Kind of interesting what's going on for him. And let's get to the list. So at number 10, I'm putting Piranha 2: The Spawning here. And this is the one where it's like, it's a little bit of a stretch to say he directed this, but under IMDb, it says he directed it. And as I looked up information, he only directed parts of this movie. There's another guy who kind of took over, and he basically, I think he got fired. I think he directed just a couple of scenes here and there, and then got fired from the project because they wanted this other director, like Italian director, but the studio said they had to have like an American director or something like that, and so they grabbed James Cameron, who never directed a movie before, but I think he was involved in special effects and stuff like that before he did this movie, and they just needed his name, basically. They needed to put his name on there, that it was directed by an American or something like that, and then it was really directed by this Italian guy. So it was a weird kind of thing that happened to him, and I don't think he really takes much credit for the movie, but I'm putting it at number 10. Obviously, Piranha 2, sequel to Piranha, which I've never seen before. And you can find this movie on Tubi, is where I watched it. Obviously, it's a really bad B-movie, horror movie with killer piranhas killing these people in this town. They did some kind of mutation with these killer piranhas, and now they can fly. So you have these flying piranhas that attack people on this resort, and of course the person's like, we gotta shut this place down, and then the guy who owns it's like, what, I'm making so much money, I can't postpone it, we're at the peak season, and he's like, but people are gonna die, and they're like, nah. And of course it kills a bunch of people, all these piranhas. Yeah, I mean, it's the usual bad movie, bad acting, very slow pacing, kind of, with even the horror scenes, I guess you can say, with people getting attacked are kind of funny, just funny bad, and not really that horrific, or even people getting killed is just this fish that, yeah, it's like, it's always chewing at their neck, and they're blood, and then they die, and it's not a scary monster, to be honest. Piranhas aren't the most scariest type of horror monsters you can have. Yeah, so it is what it is. You get what you get out of this. And it's obvious, number 10 here. Number 9, I have The Abyss, kind of late 80s, after he got big with like the Terminator, I believe, and Aliens maybe even. He comes out with The Abyss, which is another kind of sci-fi movie, this one underwater, with Ed Harrison on the lead. And he's with like a science crew, and they're in a submarine that does science experiments and stuff. And they are a military ship of Marines with that commandeer the submarine, because there's a military submarine that crash landed or something like that, and so they commandeer this one to get to that one, and then they find out that they're getting to that one because there's a nuclear weapon in that one, and that makes everybody upset. All the scientists are like, we don't want a nuclear weapon on our, anyways, and so it becomes kind of a battle between the scientists and the military that are guarding this nuclear weapon, and they try to mutiny against them. Anyways, here's the crazy part: it's also about aliens. They come across. This is the weird part. I just saw this movie recently, kind of. I forget where I saw it. I saw it on one of the streaming channels, like HBO Max or something. I can't remember. And it might have been Disney Plus. I can't remember. But the only thing I knew about this movie is like the special effects are supposed to be great, and there's a scene where there's like the alien is like water, and it like makes faces like the people, and they meet it, and they're excited because they meet this alien that's taken over this water or something. I don't know. That's the only thing I knew about this movie, and so I thought, oh, it's a movie about aliens. It's about they're underwater and they meet underwater aliens, and it's about that, and I didn't know anything else. That's a very small part of the movie. Most of the movie is about this military people, a group of military Marines with that taking over this submarine, and the scientists are upset about it. And, then they come across this alien. So the alien it's just a side thing that comes across, and it's hardly in the movie. And then the military guys decide they want to nuke the alien or something like that. They're gonna, I think, use a nuclear weapon, and that's why the scientists are trying to stop them, anyways, and blah blah blah. And it's just a very boring movie, very long, like overly long, very boring. The plot was very disappointing. Like I said, I thought there was more about aliens. So I was a little disappointed when I'm like, there's hardly aliens in this thing at all. Yeah, any underwater stuff is boring. It's just people swimming or doing anything underwater, it's going to be slow moving just by being underwater. That's the whole thing about underwater is things are slow moving. So I don't know. It's hard to make a good movie when you're underwater, I think. And this kind of proved that. And it's kind of interesting looking at the behind the scenes of this movie or trying to look up, kind of stuff about the movie. And you find out that nobody liked working on this movie. And it was kind of torturous, kind of making this movie. And that there's a lot of underwater scenes. People are underwater. People almost drowning from these underwater. Ed Harris almost drowned and was very upset at James Cameron. And everybody was mad at James Cameron. It sounds like he was kind of a really terrible director during this and put a lot of people's lives in danger. And nobody will talk about the movie. That's the crazy thing is like, evidently, like Ed Harris will never talk about this movie. He'll never interview, answer questions. He won't do anything to deal with this movie. He wants to forget this movie ever existed. In fact, I think everybody that worked on the movie, none of them talk about the movie. It's like this movie that doesn't exist. Nobody wants to talk about it because it was such a terrible experience. I thought that was interesting. Anyways, all right, number 8, I have Avatar here. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Avatar. Even though it made a ton of money, people love this movie, this franchise. It's doing very well. When I talk to my more serious, those are like normal people, I guess, if I can say that. When I talk to my more serious movie people that do movie channels and review movies, I feel like most people don't like this series or don't care about Avatar, but it's like everybody else loves it, and so it makes a ton of money. And I remember this movie coming out in 2009, and I remember seeing, the trailers and these big blue aliens, and they're like Native Americans and all this. And I remember just thinking, this doesn't look interesting to me at all. Like, I didn't find any interest in the movie. Didn't think I was going to go see it. But then everybody talked, the word of mouth was huge. It was making tons of money, and everybody just talked about, oh, it was so great. 3D was amazing. It was like the best 3D experience. The flying scenes and all this, whatever. And so I was like, okay, I guess I have to go see it because everybody's talking so much about it. And I'm sure I saw it in 3D and everything. And I saw it. I thought, what's the big deal? What's the big hype around this? It felt like just a retread, like I said, of Dances with Wolves or Pocahontas, It felt like a story that's been done a million times before. It was like nothing original here, except now we got these big blue aliens, the naive, whatever, is that it? Whatever they are, on this planet. I'm forgetting all the names now. And just the plot was stupid. This company's there with this military, and there's a substance in the ground called unobtainium, which is such a stupid word, unobtainium, because it's unobtainable, And so they're trying to kind of infiltrate this village or something like that, and get the resources. And then there's a big battle at the end, and all this. And there's a weird love story between him and this blue alien. I don't know. At the end, I was, again, 3 hours long. It was so long. It was kind of boring. I didn't think the action scenes were that great. It was just okay. And I just didn't think the story was very original. And I just didn't get the big deal about it. I was like, I don't get why people like this movie. It was nothing to me. Special effects were great, sure, but I don't know. I need a good story and good characters and good dialogue and stuff like that to really love a movie. But yeah, so pretty disappointed with this movie overall, and the whole franchise. I don't really care about, and I keep coming back to, every time I think about the movie and the sequels, I just go, I don't know why, I just don't care about big blue aliens. Like, and I see a lot of sci-fi, and I love a lot of sci-fi, and I love a lot of characters in sci-fi, but this is one sci-fi franchise where I just don't care about this species of aliens that, like I said, the naive, whatever they're called. The Navi. Yeah, Navi, that's it. The Navi. I just don't care about the Navi. I don't know why. You just can't get me to care about them. So I just watch it going, I just don't care at all. Anyways, but I'll say this. Avatar, I think, is the worst out of the three. I think the sequels are actually a little more interesting, exciting, and battle sequences are better, and all. Anyway, so, and we're going to get right to that, because at number 7, I put Avatar Fire and Ash, the newest one that came out. Visually, it's pretty cool. Like I said, the action scenes aren't too bad. There's stuff happening in there. But again, I just get bogged down by not caring about these Na'vi things and the story. And it felt like just a retread of the other story. It's just the same villain comes back every time. We do get a new set of kind of villains in this one with this fire clan of Na'vi, whatever, that are coming in, causing trouble and wanting the guns that they have. But yeah, it just felt like the same story over and over again. They're dealing with the death of a character. That's maybe somewhat interesting at first, but then after a while, that even becomes kind of boring to me. I don't know. Again, long movie about big blue aliens I didn't care that much about. Which goes to number 6, which is Avatar: The Way of Water, which I think has actually been the best one. And surprisingly, I think the best climatic scene. I actually kind of enjoyed the last action sequence with the whales and everything, and you got the military with their guns and the Na'vi with their more primitive weapons, but using, like I said, whales and stuff and all that. Anyways, I don't know, I found it kind of interesting, and there was a death scene that actually I thought was actually a good emotional scene. I was like kind of surprised, like, wow, that was actually a very emotionally impactful scene. So I almost liked it. I would give it like 2.5 stars. Like, I was the most close to liking Avatar: Way of Water. Again, I just don't care about this franchise, and it's just an overly long movie, and it's hard for me to get into. And the biggest thing is, anytime I think about watching this movie again or any of the Avatar movies, I just go, I just don't want to. I have no interest or excitement to go back and rewatch any of these ever again. All right, now we're going to get to the better movies here on my list with James Cameron. Number 5, I put the Terminator here. This is his quote-unquote second movie that he directed, but the first big one that he directed, of course, and it really put his name on the map, of course, as a big-time director. And it took unknown, but an actor who hadn't been big yet, called Arnold Schwarzenegger, who did the Conan movies, a couple of those. But it really took off after this movie. This movie definitely helped make him a star and have one of the best action starring, movie franchises of all time, and just career, I guess, best action career of all time. You can say Arnold Schwarzenegger, starting with this movie, great sci-fi premise. That's where it really hooks into the movie, is the idea that in the future, AI, as we have AI today and might see this future someday, but as the computers, AI kind of start, fighting against humans, and so there's a big war in the future where a lot of humans and it's a post-apocalyptic world. A lot of people die. Anyway, they're still fighting these robots, and they got these Terminator robots, and they send one back to the past to try to kill the woman who would birth. I'm forgetting names now. I'm sorry, but her son is going to help defeat the AI robots in the future or something like that. So they're going to kill the mother, and so Arnold Schwarzenegger's back trying to kill her, and the humans send a guy back to try to protect her. Yeah, overall great premise. It's funny, this one's more horror-ish, I guess, than action, as Schwarzenegger as the Terminator robot, whatever, is kind of a scary character and kills a lot of people and doesn't care. And there's some really good tense scenes, some good thrilling scenes. Obviously, one of the biggest scenes is the "I'll be back," and then ramming his car in the police station and starting to shoot everybody in there. It's not one I go back to a whole lot, the Terminator, to be honest. It's not like one of my favorite sci-fi movies, but I do give it a lot of credit that it was very well made and made a big impact on pop culture, obviously. And I do like the very last scene when I think the Terminator gets into a big like crash, and you think it's dead, and she thinks she's okay, the main character, and Connor, is it O'Connor? I don't know. And the Terminator robot emerges out of the ashes and is still alive, and I love how it has all the Schwarzenegger flesh is now burned off, and now it's the metal robot, which is like even more scarier. And it's like, oh, it's not dead. We still gotta fight this robot. And then she somehow gets it to where it's like cut in half, but the top half is still going after her and it's crawling after her. And she eventually gets to like construction site and drops something on. Anyways, I'm spoiling the movie, but I'm just saying, I just love how that all plays out. Very tense, very good climatic ending. Anyway, so it's here at number 5. Number 4, I'm putting Titanic. Yeah, Titanic. This is a difficult one also for me. I saw it in the movie theater when it came out. It was a big movie, of course. I was like 13 years old when I saw it in the movie theater. And I really liked it. When I saw it in the movie theater, yeah, great spectacle. It's based off some, the Titanic sinking is a big historical moment that we all read about growing up, about the biggest ship, biggest ship disaster like of all time. A lot of people died. And it was this ship that no one thought could be sunk, and it got sunk. And I don't know why, it's just this story that we always hear about. And so to make a big disaster movie after this, and that it would work so well was, something interesting. I didn't have that big expectations, but then, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's a long 3-hour movie, whatever. And it's based on this, fictional love story, which, I don't know if it's the best love story, but I mean, it is what it is. But then that whole part at the end where the ship crashes into the iceberg and everybody's trying to get to safety is definitely a very, exciting, thrilling, and sad moment. I would say very sad moments as well. And I don't know. And I think great performances. Leo, yeah, young Leonardo DiCaprio there. Kate Winslet, I thought was great. The musical score, James Horner, great musical score. Great looking. I mean, it was a really good looking movie. Obviously, like I said, it won 11 Oscars. I mean, it won just about every category. So it was a good movie overall, I think, and really well done. I do like the ending, though. You can say there's some problems with there, but I don't know. The idea that she, dies, goes to heaven, and then I just love that we see all the people throughout the story up on the Titanic in heaven. I don't know. I like that kind of stuff, and I thought that was a cool ending to the story. I thought that was all done well. It's not a movie I'll go back to very often, though, to be honest. I think it's just because it's a 3-hour movie, and I have to really love the movie to want to sit down and watch a 3-hour movie. So that's the only reason why I don't go back to it, but I still think it's a very good movie, very well done movie. And yeah, maybe one I haven't bought it yet, because again, I'm always like, do I really want to go through a 3-hour movie? But I don't know, maybe someday I'll buy it and keep it in my collection. But yeah, so that's where Titanic is. It's like, I like it, but don't love it. But it's still, I think I admire how well done it is. All right, number 3, I have Aliens, which I don't know if that surprised anybody, because Aliens doesn't seem like my kind of movie. But this movie surprised me. I liked it way more than I expected to. I didn't think I would like it at all. And I heard And I went through the whole Alien series earlier in, I mean, last year. I watched all the Alien movies and all the Predator movies. I thought it'd be fun to do a ranking. I did a whole ranking of it. And Aliens came out number one. Aliens was my favorite movie out of all the Aliens and Predator movies. I surprisingly just came back to Aliens. I remember just watching Aliens going, wow, this is like a really good sci-fi action thriller movie. The first movie I hated because it was like a slow moving like horror movie that was super boring and nothing happened for most of the movie. Aliens, though, I thought was way better paced. I thought the characters were way more interesting, a lot more characters. You got the whole military aspect to it as well. I think Sigourney Weaver gives her best performance and even got nominated for Best Actress, which is kind of crazy. It's not really an Oscar type role, but that's how good she was in the movie, how good the movie was. It got, I think, I got a couple different Oscar nominations. I think it was the most Oscar nominated probably movie out of the whole Alien series. And definitely, most people like Alien, the first one, the best. Maybe Aliens, second best. I go Aliens definitely by far better than Alien, the first Alien movie. It's just almost two completely different movies because the two movies are almost like a decade apart and it's two different directors and all this. But I do love the action sequences. I love when they get bombarded by the xenomorph aliens and they're fighting them off and the aliens are falling through the ceiling. Very exciting stuff. And some of the visuals are really good. It really caught me because there's a scene where a guy like looks over, like he opens a door or something like that and looks down to see where the aliens are, and he flashes a light down there, and you see a horde of aliens crawling up the side of like this building, and the aliens look up at him, and I'm like, holy crap, that is a scary moment. Like, I thought that was so well done, and just I thought it really sets the tone. You're like, oh, this is not good. Anyways, so I loved a lot of that, and then the very last scene where she's almost home free, it feels like, and then she gets attacked by the queen alien, which is like this giant, like, three-armed alien, and she gets into that mechanical suit, and get away from her, you B-word, and then they fight. Oh, that was such a good climatic scene to the movie. Really capped it off very well. I thought the alien was very well designed. Like, the aliens were really well designed and scary, and all that. And so that, I loved all of that. It was a very good action sci-fi thriller movie. Way better than I ever expected it to be. So it's here at number 3. All right, I said my top 2, definitely my top 2. These are such good movies. Curious what other people would think about James Cameron movies. What would be their top ones? But number 2 for me, I'm going with Terminator 2, Judgment Day. This is very close to making my number 1. In fact, I thought this would probably be my number 1, but my number 1, my number 2, I had to fight back and forth, and I finally went with the one I love to watch the most is my number 1. But number 2, this is definitely another fantastic sci-fi action thriller movie. I guess it's along those lines. He does really good with these kind of movies. I think that's his best part of directing. I think these kind of stuff for the most part. Again, and I love the idea. Again, it's a little bit tonally different. I think I like Arnold Schwarzenegger coming back, and while in the first one he is the bad guy that doesn't really talk a lot and just looks menacing. The second one, he talks more. It's more lines. This time they've programmed his Terminator to be good. I don't know. I like that. I like good Terminator better than bad Terminator. I guess is more interesting and fun too. This movie has more laughs in it than the first movie. I don't think the first movie had any laughs, but the second movie is a little more just overall fun. Has kind of laughs and just great action overall. And great villain too. I have to say, the T-1000. Yeah, liquid metal. And the stuff they do with that, even today, it looks cool. How he can, be different people, take different shapes, and how he's just a very difficult villain to defeat, and does a lot of killing and evil stuff. And a formidable foe, obviously, to the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator. And yeah, so many great moments. And even an emotional scene at the end. I don't want to give away too much, I guess, as I do sometimes in these But even the way it all goes down at the end is like actually a very emotional scene where you go, wow, I'm really feeling something for this Terminator robot that I didn't think I was going to feel. So very good storytelling overall. I mean, I love the breaking out the asylum, going to the insane asylum and breaking out the mother. That's so good. And then meeting across the T-1000 and having to escape him. My favorite scene probably always will be when he's trying to get John O'Connor, I think it's John Connor, in the T-1000 is dressed like a policeman, and he tries to get John Connor, and Schwarzenegger walks in with I think a box of roses, and he takes it apart, and he has a gun in there, a shotgun, and starts. It's so good. And he grabs the kid. And the kid gets on a bike and is trying to get away, and then Schwarzenegger comes on a motorcycle and grabs him and puts him on the back of his bike, and then the T-1000 is trying to run them down with a semi truck, and Schwarzenegger steering a motorcycle and shooting with a shotgun, and then having to, with one hand, as he's trying motorcycle, has to reload cock the shotgun. One of the coolest scenes ever as far as action goes, with the semi behind him and him with one hand. It's like, that's incredible. I don't know, I always love that scene. So yeah, it's definitely one of the greatest action movies of all time. So it's here number 2, which leaves me with number 1 being True Lies. And yeah, when I thought about it, I absolutely love watching this movie because it combines great action with, and it's very funny. Like, this is the funniest movie out of all the movies I've listed. None of these movies are comedies. Like I said, they're all mostly sci-fi. They're all, except for Titanic. Titanic's like the only non-sci-fi movie, and True Lies, I would say, only 2 non-sci-fi kind of movies. And this is definitely the funniest one, I think. And that's what really puts it over for me. Again, Schwarzenegger coming back, like the 3rd time they've worked together. And him playing kind of the typical, like, secret, kind of almost a James Bond secret agent, the usual, tough guy, can do anything role, where he's just awesome at everything. And yeah, but the action scenes are maybe a little over the top, but they're amazing. I absolutely love what he does here. Everything from the chase scene with the horse, or the shootout in the bathroom is great. Even the very beginning scene, I guess, at the mansion as he escapes. But I think my favorite part is when he gets kidnapped with his wife, and he gets out of it, and then when he just starts doing stuff like kicking a gun up and catching and shooting people. And there's just so many great scenes within that. Like, he drops a gun. Someone tells him to drop a gun, so he drops his gun, and then he pulls out another gun and shoots him. Some of the best action I've ever seen in a movie. I absolutely love a lot of that. Like I said, it's very funny. I mean, Tom Arnold's his partner and best friend is very funny in the movie. It's over top. I love it. Like, when he has to, the terrorist is on, and he's on a fighter jet, and he's trying to rescue his daughter, I think, at this, anyways, and he has to shoot, and there's another helicopter shooting at him, and the villain, I'm spoiling a little bit of this movie, I'm sorry, but the villain gets caught on one of the missiles, and then the close-up of Schwarzenegger's face, as he goes, "You're fired," or something like that, and he shoots him connected to the missile, and it hits the helicopter through the building, goes through a building, hits the other out. It's so good. It's like, okay, you got me. That was great. Like, that was over the top, but I love it because it was so well done and it's so fun. It's just a really fun movie. Like, I get a blast out of it every time I watch it. And yeah, that's why I got to put her number 1. It's definitely my favorite movie to watch over and over again, by James Cameron. So that is my list of ranking all of James Cameron's films, all 10 of them. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. And tell me which ones are your favorite. I guess, what's your favorite James Cameron movie? I'd love to hear if anybody would agree with me or disagree with me. A lot of good choices here. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would pick Terminator 2 probably would be a popular choice. Maybe Aliens. I'd be curious to see. But yeah, so hopefully comment what's your favorite. But just thank you so much for everybody who watched this video. Thank you to anybody who liked it. And just thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all.